How do we get clean water? 785 million people in the world don't have access to clean water. There have been many causes behind the lack of access to clean water, and one of them has been systemic oppression. In the video linked, there's a video of the Flint, Michigan crisis and how a lack of accountability for politicians has led to the lead inside of the water. And then these are typically in communities of color and areas with poverty, which kind of go hand in hand, as we have discussed before in our class. There are laws in place in the United States to keep poverty and people of black and brown backgrounds impoverished. But then there's also the effect of like colonialism, where we've seen other countries with high black populations see these effects. And in the other video linked, it's one of the effects of clean water and Africa and how that looks like. And we've seen how politicians either tend to look away when they see these things or perpetuate it by passing laws that wouldn't contribute in a positive way. Women and children are the most susceptible to the negative effects, as they're the ones who are doing the most to access this water, and children are also more susceptible to diseases that come from waters filled with lead. The Catholic Church has appeared to have taken an interest in these topics because of the Catholic social teachings, and so now we'll explore how this translates into these teachings. Each community can take from the bounty of the earth whatever it needs for sustenance, but it also has a duty to protect the earth and to ensure its fruitfulness for coming generations. These are the words of Pope Francis. The Catholic social teachings have set up a list of things that people of the Catholic faith should follow by. And there are three that I feel most apply to advocating for clean water. The first one is obviously caring for God's creation. This land is provided to us and it needs to be cared for. While it's a privilege to be here, it's not something to be taken advantage of. The second most applicable would be rights and responsibilities. It's similar to caring for God's creation. And as they say, with rights come great responsibility, or however that saying goes. We're responsible for making sure that everyone has the same rights, which is including clean water. Just because since we work as a community, it's important that when we have access to clean water, everyone around us has the same. And lastly, but even maybe most importantly, is an option for the poor and vulnerable. Those who are most at risk of unsanitary water also come from backgrounds that have put them in that position. So like we said, gender, race, socioeconomic status, all of these people have fallen into the victimhood of lack of clean water. And it's important that at the end of the day, we are advocating for them in the same way that we would want ourselves to be advocated for. And also, this is not to say that, and all of these lessons apply, all of the Catholic social teachings apply towards an act for clean water. These are just the ones that I personally found work best when referring to this issue. And lastly, how can we personally make a change? First off, we need to advocate for harsher policies on companies that filter water. In the case of Flint, Michigan, as in the video shown before, and in the cases of many other towns and cities throughout America, as well as countries throughout the world, a lot of countries have taken advantage of these lax policies, and it's important for us to say that this is not okay. We also need to reduce U.S. involvement in foreign policy. A lot of the time when these waters become contaminated, they also come from nations that might not have the same access, and the U.S. has definitely played a part in our policy and the things that we have advocated for that have led to this impoverished nations. And another way is creating a program to fund purifiers. If we donated a little bit of our money, maybe saving like $1 a day for 20 days, that would be enough to buy one straw for one person. And if we were able to make that dedication as a nation for purifying water, that would be one tangible way to provide change. And lastly, it would be voting in politicians that advocate for clean water bills with things like the Clean Water for All Act and Clean Water Infrastructure Resilience and Sustainability Act. Both of these acts work on providing clean water and hold politicians accountable in counties and other government officials accountable of the laws that they pass. And so it's important, if you are able to vote for politicians that advocate for this no matter the party. And this is just a works-cited page, which is similar to the one attached to the one on the fact sheet. And lastly, Mr. Liu, just as Dolly Parton has been an inspiration to you, you have been an inspiration to me. I'm so glad to have taken this class, and even though I'm sad that we couldn't see each other face to face because of the circumstances of COVID, I'm so glad that you were my teacher, and I do truly believe that I've learned a lot of valuable lessons from this class, both about social justice and about being confident in who you are. Your excitement is contagious, and I'm so glad that I was able to have a teacher for you this past semester, and I hopefully will be able to come back next semester, but if not, I will definitely come by and say hi no matter what. Thank you so much, Mr. Liu.